Please rise to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning and welcome to RPtv. Today is Monday, December 6, 2021. Our top story this morning concerns the ever-present need for blood donations. Of course, to donate blood, you need to be 16 years old and in reasonably good health. So please pay attention to this report from Callie.
On Monday, December 13th, Roselle Park and the American Red Cross will be hosting a blood drive. The blood drive will take place at the Casano Community Center from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. So far, this year, Roselle Park has collected 157 pints of blood and saved 471 lives through blood drives. The American Red Cross says there have been blood shortages nationwide due to a larger number of trauma cases, elective surgeries, and organ transplants. COVID-19 also adds to the shortages. For more information regarding the blood drive, you can contact the Casano Community Center at 908-245-0666. Our Mayor, Joe Signorello, said donating blood is not only helps save the lives of those within our community, but lives all across America. Doctors and patients are in dire need of donations, and I'm proud to say that Roselle Park's blood drives have been very successful in providing them. Thank you to the American Red Cross and the Casano Community Center for hosting this drive.
New Jersey may not always get the respect it deserves, but this time New Jersey stands out as number one, as one of our many pizzerias has been selected as the best in the nation. Cooper has the details.
Raza, the Jersey City Pizza Shop has recently named the Pizzeria of the Year by Pizza Today. It's been a long time since I had pizza so much that I wanted to cry. An editor-in-chief of Pizza Today wrote, "Raza has set a very high bar, as a Pizzeria of the Year should." Raza was first opened in Jersey City in 2012 and has since become one of the crown jewels of the acclaimed Jersey City dining scene, and has been named among the best pizzerias in the country on countless lists. The 44-seat dining room at Raza is constantly packed, and hours-long waits for tables are the norm, though the restaurant has been working as a takeout-only operation with the first-come outdoor seating during the pandemic. Raza is also planning on expansion into the space next door, which Richard says will almost double their dining capacity.
Now it's time for announcements. The RP High School Theater Department is pleased to announce that the 2022 Roselle Park High School Spring Musical will be Willy Wonka. Auditions for the musical will be held December 7th and 8th at 6 p.m. Sign-up sheets and audition packets are located in the high school main office. All students that wish to audition must sign up, fill out an audition pack, and bring the packet to the audition. Please see Mr. Witowski, Mr. Williamson, Ms. Dombrowski, or Mrs. Arango with any questions, or email musical director Doug Panetta at dpanetta@rpsd.org. If you are looking for some fun and knowledge, check out the French Club. Upcoming meetings are scheduled for December 9th and December 16th. The time is 2:45 to 3:45, and the place is room 3.
Respect is accepting everyone for who they are, even if you don't agree with them. Here are some ways to show respect. Listen to others and be present. Be kind. Be thoughtful of others' feelings. Acknowledge others. Don't be rude. Say please and thank you. Remember your basic manners. And ask someone how their day was. And always remember to treat others the way you want to be treated.
Stay tuned. We will be right back. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and make sure to stay tuned for CNN 10.
Hi, I'm Carl Azus. Welcome to CNN 10 on this December 6th. Our show starts in Southeastern Asia in an archipelago located between the Indian and Pacific Oceans. This is what happened on Saturday on the Indonesian island of Java. Mount Semeru is the tallest mountain on the island, and its eruption has left entire villages covered with ash, hundreds of homes destroyed, and more than 1,000 people without a place to live. Mount Semeru is located on the eastern part of Java, about 430 miles from Indonesia's capital, Jakarta. Officials say they started getting reports of falling ash and the smell of sulfur at about 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, and footage from the government's emergency response teams showed people running and taking shelter as huge clouds of ash descended around them. At least 14 people were killed in the eruption. 9 are still missing, dozens were injured, and officials say the mountain is still dangerous because it's produced at least 2 pyroclastic flows. These are mixtures of rock, ash, and volcanic gases, and they're extremely hot and impossible to predict. They're also more dangerous than lava. People living as far as 6 miles away from Mount Semeru have been told to evacuate. They've taken shelter in schools, other public buildings, and mosques, and emergency response teams have been unable to reach some villages because they've been cut off by mud and fallen trees. They're asking for equipment and manpower to support rescue efforts. The Indonesian government is preparing to relocate those who've lost their homes. Experts say eruptions like this are common in Indonesia. It's located in an area of high tectonic and volcanic activity known as the Pacific Ring of Fire.
There's one thing you need to know about the Ring of Fire. It produces 90% of the world's earthquakes. The Ring of Fire includes about 450 volcanoes. Many of them are submarine volcanoes, meaning they're underwater, as are 75% of the world's volcanoes in total. Now, the Ring of Fire is also called the Circum-Pacific Belt. It's a result of plate tectonics. The movement of the plates has created a nearly continuous series of oceanic trenches and chains of volcanoes stretching for 25,000 miles in a horseshoe-shaped pattern from New Zealand past Japan, across the Bering Strait, and down toward the tip of South America. The plate movement also causes earthquakes. Because many of these earthquakes occur in the ocean, the Ring of Fire is also known for tsunamis, produced when the ocean floor is either forced to rise or fall. When a megathrust event happens in this region, the water is displaced and the water pushes ashore. Most tsunamis are only a few inches high, but there are times that that wave and that swell can be as tall as buildings.
Starting Monday, most people planning to fly to the U.S. are facing a new COVID restriction. They need to show proof of a negative test taken within 1 day of their departure to America. Until now, that test could have been taken within 3 days of their flight. The new rules in place, regardless of whether travelers have gotten a COVID vaccine. Those who can prove they've recovered from coronavirus within the past 90 days won't have to take the test, neither will children under age 2. This is part of an effort by the Biden administration to slow the spread of Omicron, a newly identified mutation or strain of COVID. It's not known yet how dangerous it is, how easily it spreads, or whether vaccines are effective against it. But President Joe Biden says the rules are intended to give people more time to get vaccinated. His administration's also extended a requirement that travelers on planes, trains, and buses wear masks, and it's put a ban on travel from 8 countries in southern Africa where Omicron was first identified. The ban doesn't apply to U.S. citizens. Critics say travel bans aren't very effective against the spread of COVID, but that they could make other countries hesitant to report new mutations of it if they're afraid they'll be, quote, punished by travel bans. Research on COVID mutations varies from country to country.
In the past few months, the Philippines has seen record COVID case numbers. And as officials try to contain the virus on the streets, inside this lab in Davao City, they're fighting on a different front.
The first rule in war is that you have to know your enemy. And for us to know our enemy in this pandemic, we have to sequence it.
In the battle against COVID, the lab has the artillery it needs to sequence the virus, this tiny machine. The problem is that it can barely afford the ammunition, the chemicals to actually make it work. They cost about $900 for just a couple hundred test samples. In a given month, they say thousands are needed to fully track the virus.
Recently, we started a crowdfunding campaign, and so far we raised around 400 euros. In the Philippines as well, $1,000 is like 2 people's monthly salary. So it's not insignificant here.
That relatively small funding gap is a big reason why developing countries are lagging so far behind in identifying COVID-19 variants that might be more deadly or more transmissible. In the West, labs like the UK's Sanger Institute are sequencing the virus on a huge scale, using multi-million-dollar machines like these. According to GISAID, the global COVID variant database, the biggest contributions are coming from the richest countries. Some countries haven't sequenced any genomes at all, which means none of us know which variants are circulating there, ready to potentially spread across borders.
If we don't get to do sequencing in many parts of the world, then definitely we're missing out on possible variants that are, emerging.
We know how rapidly new variants can take hold. The Delta variant first emerged in India in April and was the dominant variant worldwide by mid-July. Omicron, the new variant first spotted in South Africa, was declared a variant of concern in record time and is predicted by some experts to become the dominant strain in the days ahead. Its emergence highlighting again the importance of real-time virus surveillance. Getting the necessary technology out to all corners of the globe is part of the challenge. And this company, an hour north of London, thinks they have an answer.
The technology to sequence the virus in remote labs around the world is being manufactured here on an industrial scale. It's small and relatively inexpensive. The challenge has been getting governments to actually use it.
10-second trivia. The U.S. Army's 101st Airborne Division was activated during what war? World War I, World War II, Korean War, or Vietnam War? The 101st was activated in 1942 while the U.S. was engaged in World War II. At the time, the division's first commanding general said though it had no history, the 101st had a rendezvous with destiny, and the paratroopers have served in every corner of the world since then. A specific group of men in this division became known as the Band of Brothers, first in a best-selling book by historian Stephen E. Ambrose and later in an HBO miniseries. They were the soldiers of Easy Company, 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment of the 101st Airborne Division, and the last surviving officer from the Band of Brothers passed away on Friday at the age of 99. His name is Colonel Edward Shames. He was part of the first combat jump into Normandy, France on D-Day. His obituary says he was the first member of his division to enter the Dachau concentration camp after it was liberated in 1945. He was also among those who entered Hitler's Eagle's Nest in Germany as the war was ending. Colonel Shames was remembered as a, quote, stubborn and outspoken soldier who had the highest standards for himself and the men he served with. Here's one of his reflections from an interview he gave in 2014.
There's two things that I'm proud of that I did in World War II. Number one was my battlefield commission, and the other was that I brought more men home from my platoon than any other of the 200 platoons in the 101st Airborne Division. The rest is what I was supposed to do and how I was supposed to do it.
For some of us, it's hard enough to solve a Rubik's Cube, like, period. But if it comes easy, naturally, and quickly to you, check out what it takes to be a semi-finalist in a fastest hand competition when you gotta solve a Rubik's Cube like this. Juliette Sebastien from France, who provided this video, holds a couple European records for getting the colors all lined up. She says she's practiced with a cube in her pocket while walking around. You could call her a true artist, a cubist, kind of like Rubens except Rubik's. I guess to be successful, you gotta block everything else out, keep your head from spinning while your hand does, make it your transmission to be monochrome automatic, and build your record brick by taking it 3 by 3 steps at a time. Olympia High School, we see you watching from Olympia, Washington. Thank you for your request on our YouTube channel. I'm Carl Azus, and that's CNN.